I'm now very pleased to invite our distinguished speaker and author, Rachna ji Chhabria. She's going to speak about the journey of her book. She's a children's author, a creative writing teacher in the past, a freelance writer, a columnist with India's leading newspapers, a couple of them, the Asian Age and Deccan Chronicle. She freelances for five English newspapers now, writes short stories, features, and a lot of writing engagement. She has written more than 300 features and stories for newspapers. So she's written books. Her published credits include Festival Stories Through the Year, on which she's going to speak today. Lazy Worm Goes on a Journey, The Lion Who Wanted to Sing, Money in Search of a Name, Ganesha's Blanket of Stars. Her stories and articles feature in many schools' textbooks published by Oxford University Press, Pearson Books, and Indianica Learning Private Limited. Several of her new works are awaiting publication. We look forward to that. Over to Rachna ji. We're honored to have you.
Namaste, everyone. It's my honor to be here for Indica's Indigenous Storytelling Traditions of India. I'm really honored to give my paper on my book Festival Stories Through the Year. A big thank you to Team Indica, especially Shiv Kumar ji, Srinivas ji, and Amit ji for helping us behind the scenes, for giving us the confidence and boosting our morale. I'll present my book. I'll run you through all the festivals that I mentioned in my book, my journey of research, my journey understanding the symbolism of India's rich culture, and also my journey of understanding how and why we celebrate certain festivals. I'll talk about my book, Festival Stories Through the Year. When I was approached by HarperCollins to do this book, I was both excited as well as very nervous because festivals are so extensive and so deeply entrenched into our lives. And they are also tied to people's emotions and feelings, to an aspect of their culture that is so precious to them. I was very scared that I shouldn't hurt any community or any particular religion by misrepresenting their facts. But I decided I'll take that risk and give it my best shot. I will try and verify each and every fact so that no community that feels misrepresented, or no community feels that I have misquoted or said something wrong. And as I started research, I realized that forget about the people. Even I don't know much about the festivals other than the bigger and the better known festivals. And even those festivals, I had just little clue about what was the origin of the festivals, not much knowledge of the stories behind the festival. And for the book, I created two characters, Nikhil the boy and Natasha the girl, through whose eyes the readers see the glorious culture of our nation. And the twins chronicle all the festival details in their blog and diary. That blog and diary form the part of non-fiction. This book is the concept of fiction and non-fiction. There's a story about entire story, and then the blog and the diary enter the picture. The more I researched, the more I realized that there are so many stories behind the origin of each and every festival. It's like a big circle, a never-ending circle. And we also know that festivals play an important part in our lives, but these stories, which are the background of the festival, also play a very important part in the life, in the origin of the festivals. We know that festivals are important to us. They are a part of a tradition which we celebrate. And for each festival, there was 2 or 3 stories. One story was something we all know about, but there were 2 or 3 smaller stories which I've tried to highlight in the book. And how were these stories passed down to us? Through poems by the traveling bards, through dance dramas, through plays. Even grandmothers have done their bit to pass on the stories. Have you seen like grandmothers sitting and telling a story? This is a tradition which we have been following from beginning. Okay, now let me start with a question. What actually is a festival? We can say that a festival is the birthday of our tradition and culture. A birthday, entire communities celebrate every year to honor that tradition and pay their respect to that aspect of our culture. And when you see flowers around in the marketplace, you know there is a festival around the corner. because festivals and flowers, festival and sweets are closely associated. Most of the festivals that we celebrate now have been celebrated from time immemorial. And with time, smaller rituals, which are a part of people's personal belief and faith, have slipped into the fabric of the larger ritual, which are common across India. I'll give you an example. When I started researching for Pongal, I asked quite a few people. One of my friends said that it's customary in her family to see the sun through clasped hands. I asked many other people because I like this idea of putting it in my book, but not a single person verified that fact. They hadn't even heard of it. Then another person told me that she has a tradition of making a sun-shaped rangoli, or a rangoli which resembles the sun, yellow, all the rays of the sun. Again, nobody verified that fact. So sadly, these two facts didn't enter the book. I think some family elder in, must have, followed these rituals or must have started them because it was a part of that person's personal belief. And over time, this ritual passed down from generation to the next and continued till that girl. I hope she starts something else, better tradition than just seeing the sun through clasped hands. Okay. In my family, there is a ritual we have been following from the time I was a kid. It is a ritual of giving uh, sharbat on Akshay Tritiya day. This ritual is a mystery which no Sherlock Holmes has been able to solve. I asked a lot of aunts, they had no clue. I asked my mom, she said she has been following this ritual since the day she got married. As my grandmother wasn't alive, I couldn't ask her. While researching for this book, I realized that followers of Jainism consider Akshay Tritiya an auspicious day because it is associated with Lord Rishabhadeva, also known as Adinath. He is the first of the 24 Tirthankaras. It is said that Lord Adinath ended his year-long tapasya on Akshay Tritiya day by drinking sugarcane juice, which was poured into his cup palms. You can see it here. Lord Adinath, and of course the King Shriyansh. This is a picture of a 1 anna coin that, of course, is not available anywhere now. So Lord Adinath is accepting the cup in his cup palm, the juice from King Shriyansh. That time it was sugarcane juice. Somehow our family has made it into a sharbat, and now I have made it into a tetra pack. One festival that all of us celebrate, Raksha Bandhan. Most people don't know the origin of Raksha Bandhan. Why do we celebrate? All that they know is that sister ties Rakhi on the brother's wrist and he promises to protect her. And of course, he gives her a gift. When I researched for Raksha Bandhan, I came to know that there are three stories, not one, but three stories behind the origin of Raksha Bandhan. One legend says that when Lord Krishna injured his finger while while he was I think fighting or something with Shishupal, and the Sudarshan Chakra hurt the Lord's finger. To stop the finger from bleeding, Draupadi tore a piece of her sari and tied it on the Lord's hand. This ritual has become the ritual of Raksha Bandhan. Lord Krishna, in return, promised to repay his debt whenever Draupadi needed his help in the future. This is, of course, the Raksha Bandhan ritual. There's one more ritual where it's believed that Yamuna, the river Yamuna, tied a sacred thread on her brother Yamraj's wrist. Yamraj was so pleased with her, Yamraj is a lord of death, that he promised her immortality. Now there is a third story. I told you to, there's a third story about the origin of Raksha Bandhan. The third story is basically from the Shrimad Bhagavad Purana and the Vishnu Purana, which says that after Lord Vishnu won the three worlds from the Asur king Mahabali, he sent him to the netherworld. But he was so impressed with Asura's innocent devotion and faith that he decided to protect him. And how did Lord Vishnu protect him? By becoming Mahabali's doorman in the netherworld. Now, Goddess Lakshmi was not pleased that her husband wasn't with her in Vaikuntha. She needed her husband back with her. So she tied a Rakhi on the Mahabali's wrist and made him her brother. Now, as is customary, a brother has to give his sister a gift. So Mahabali asked Lakshmi what gift she wanted. She replied that Mahabali should free Vishnu from the promise that he had made of staying with him. To honor that sacred brother-sister bond and the ritual of Rakhi, Mahabali couldn't refuse the gift. He allowed Lord Vishnu to return to Vaikuntha and be with his wife again. So one particular festival, three stories behind the festival. Now coming again from Lakshmi, another, Lakshmi had a habit of moving from one place to the other. We all know that as her Vahana is the owl, she's never in one place for long. Here today, there tomorrow. Now, I had always wondered why was Ganesha worshipped with goddess Lakshmi on Diwali day. I had to do research for the book because there were certain facts I wanted to present. In this, I came to know that once, like goddess Lakshmi became very arrogant about her fame and power. She told her husband that everybody worships me more than the other devis. I think he wanted to, bring down her arrogance to make her more mellow. So he told her that a woman is considered incomplete if she does not have a child. He didn't want to hurt her, but just to mellow her because she was feeling I'm superior to the other devis. Hearing this, Lakshmi was very sad. She appealed to Parvati to allow her to adopt one of her sons. Now, Parvati was in a dilemma. She knew that Lakshmi is never in one place for long. So, how would she look after any of her sons? So, when she told Lakshmi this, Lakshmi assured her that I will look after your son. I'm sure she must have assured her that I will also be in one place. So, Parvati allowed Lakshmi to adopt Ganesha. Now Lakshmi was so happy, she declared that whoever prayed to her would have to seek Ganesha's blessings. If you see this ritual makes so much sense. On Lakshmi Puja Day, we worship Ganesha and Lakshmi. The thought behind this ritual is that whoever wants wealth, Lakshmi, has to worship Ganesha, who is the god of wisdom. So that if you seek wealth, you should also seek the wisdom to use it wisely. Because this wealth can, in the wrong hands, can be very dangerous. Perhaps, and also, I think this small little belief also makes people believe that if you want to worship the image of a sitting Lakshmi. Some years back, when we were ordering our image of Lakshmi, the first thing people told us was, "What is the image? Is it a standing or a sitting Lakshmi?" So I remember my mom saying, "I think it's a standing Lakshmi." No, 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 cancel the order. Always take a sitting Lakshmi as it's believed she'll stay with you longer. Again, these are people's personal rituals which have joined the main ritual. Like, I think it's a personal belief. If you have a sitting Lakshmi, she'll stay with you longer. So I noticed one thing in all festivals, people's personal, I think, faith, belief, whatever they felt was lucky for them, ended up ended up joining the larger ritual. One thing I love when I came across this particular festival in Kerala, it's called Vishu. It's the Malayali New Year and also the Harvest Festival. I I wanted to explain this Vishu Kani to the children. So when I researched for it, I asked a lot of people because, as I said, I had to verify each fact. So how Vishu is celebrated is people make a Vishu Kani, which is an arrangement before Lord Krishna, and that arrangement can have anything. It has to have fruit, some yellow fruit, some yellow vegetable, pumpkin, coconut, banana, cucumber, lady finger, and of course rice, sugar, grain, uncooked rice. And there is this, if you notice, there is this Lord Krishna's image. There is this, what is the tradition is that they have a particular mirror which has a handle. But depending on, I don't think everybody can have that mirror. So people put whatever mirror they get available in the area. So I realized that all these items that one places before the Lord one day before, these are the items of abundance that people seek for the entire year, because it's believed that all the items that you see in the Vishu Kani, first thing on Vishu morning is something you will see throughout the year. So of course, people put gold coins, silver coins, and even notes of different denominations. So I'll show you the other Vishu Kanis later. This is a very small Vishu Kani. Again, it depends on people's how much space they have, what's important to them. So, okay. So what people do first, early morning, they just get up, close the eyes until they reach the puja room, look at the image of Lord Krishna, which is here. And immediately after that, they look at the mirror. Okay, that mirror is called Valakanadi. And what it believes is that when you see God's, Lord Krishna's image, and then see your image, you are seeing the divinity, you're manifesting the divinity in your own body. You're manifesting those qualities in your body. And also it makes people realize that there is a divine in everybody. So you treat everybody with love and respect and kindness. This was what a beautiful concept. People are not just seeking material goods, they are also seeking spiritual abundance, spiritual qualities. And this makes a lot of sense because only if you have good spiritual values can you make use of your material objects. Otherwise, it's useless. It's just like a hollow body. This was one of the best things I liked about the Vishukani. I'll show you some more Vishukani. Here is Lord Krishna's image, and the mirror is here. This is a traditional mirror with a handle or a tail. And again, everybody has whatever they want to put. Some people put very few things, some people put lot. One of I'll show you one more. These are another Vishukani. This is from a friends in America. You can make out the shop, the mall bought bananas and very basic. And here, one more Vishukani. The mirror is here. So everybody had, again, there are personal beliefs people have. One of my friend puts all her jewelry. Another one puts sari. A third one puts all her spiritual books. So whatever you desire, you seek that in the Vishukani. But I think the concept of Lord Krishna and looking at the after he's seeing his image, you see your reflection in the mirror. So you see that you are part of the divine. As we all know, we are all God's children. So you see the divinity in yourself, and all that you have to do is manifest the divinity in your behavior, in your attitude towards the less fortunate. One of the another ritual that I wanted to present to the children was a Dahi Handi ritual, which basically I had absolutely no clue about. I live in Bangalore. I, my mom, who's from Mumbai, used to tell me at least come to Mumbai once and see the Dahi Handi ritual. So a few years back, we went to Mumbai and I saw quite a few rituals. But I, again, at that point of time, I didn't know what was the reason behind that Dahi Handi ritual. Later, I came to know that as Lord Krishna loved eating butter, which he would steal from his own house and from the house of his neighbors, his mom, to safeguard this butter, would hide it tied on the ceiling, near the ceiling, so that the small Krishna, the Balagopal, would not be able to reach the ceiling. The moment his mother left the house on some chores, the small Krishna, the smart Krishna, would call all the boys of the neighborhood and make a humid pyramid. Climbing on their shoulders, the small Krishna could easily reach the pot of butter. He and his friends would have a feast. So this was the ritual of the Dahi Handi ritual. And with the passage of time, this ritual got additions, like all the rituals have got. In Bombay, in Mumbai, where I saw, they had, when the boys were climbing the pyramid, they would spray water to make it difficult. Every time they would spray, the top boy would fall and the entire pyramid would collapse. So this was one of the things I saw, which was an addition. And of course, the entire pot of butter has got another addition in the form of honey, dahi, and there's lots of money, which is a reward for the boys for their effort. Even Diwali, I noticed, has basically got crackers. I'm sure when the Diwali was first celebrated, it just was diyas, which the people of Ayodhya lit to welcome Lord Rama, and it was a Amavas night, so they needed the light. But later, sound came. That time they must have just clanged some vessels or clapped. Now it is crackers, light and sound. Coming to the symbolism behind all the rituals, they're not just empty rituals. They each one, if you analyze, is such a wealth of meaning and a subtext between each and every ritual that we have. When we clean a house before Diwali or any major festival, it symbolizes the cleaning of one's mind of negativity, which appear in the form of negative thoughts and feeling. Over the entire year, a lot of negative thoughts come, and not just about people, about the world, about your own achievements, about your own relationships. So when you clean up, you want to start with a fresh thing. You take a proper new perspective and clean up your mental door, not just the physical house, but the mental uh, space too. The tradition of making rangolis outside the main door symbolizes the different experiences we must welcome into our lives and I think undergo with equanimity. It's not always going to be a happy. We all know there are going to be ups and downs, the seesaw of life. So when you put all these rangoli, all the different colors of the rangoli, of course, represent the different emotions and feelings we must accept with others, with from others, from ourselves also. Sometimes, in the morning you're happy, in afternoon you feel a little low. By night you're completely gone. Something has happened, a bad news, something. So when you have those a beautiful rangoli outside, what does it show? Every color is not going to be your favorite color. There will be your pink favorite or green or some color you don't like. some pattern you don't like. Likewise, in life, you accept everything with equanimity. The exchanging of sweets is symbolic of the sweetness we must incorporate in our speech as well as in our relationships. The exchange of sweet is not just a physical mithai, it's also that you will adopt a sweetness in your speech, in your behavior, in your attitude. Because ultimately, that is the essence of life. Giving a sweet and being rude to a person doesn't make sense. The sweetness should be there in your entire persona. The lighting of diyas symbolizes our inner awakening as well as lighting the diya of compassion in our lives. When we wear new clothes or buy new clothes, what we are telling the universe is that we are willing to accept new changes into our body, into our mindset, into every aspect of our life. So when we discard the old clothes, we are also discarding our old habits and adopting better habits, which help us physically, emotionally, mentally, financially. So you're just telling that I'm going to cultivate new habits and better habits. And when we this illustration is from my book. I took quite a few illustrations from my book because I thought it'll make be more authentic. And when we hang mango leaves on our door, this is basically to invite positivity. They say mango leaves are auspicious. So when you hang mango leaves, it's also symbolic of, I think I shouldn't say draping, filling your mind with positive thoughts. Because once you're positive, you can go out and achieve a lot more in every sphere in life. Different festivals, one soul. At the bottom level, every festival, be it Pongal, Makar Sankranti, Bihu, or Vishu, all these are harvest festival. The soul behind them is gratitude to the sun, to the rain god, to Mother Earth for the abundant crop. Because the food that comes on our table doesn't come with our effort alone. It comes with the effort of all the people. Everybody has contributed to bringing it onto the table. And of course, there's the festival food. No festival is complete without the food. By now, all of us know that there is Pongal, Chakra, and Vain Pongal of Pongal, the Gujiyas of Holi, the Modaks of Ganesh Chaturthi, the Shrikhand of Janmashtami, the Kara Prasad of Gurpurab, the Gavers of Raksha Bandhan, the Kaju Katlis of Diwali. And festivals are just a small fraction of a glorious culture and heritage. There is so I think I need to write at least a couple of books to do justice to the entire festivals. Because while researching, I came across at least, I would say 50, 60 festivals. In my book, I could just put 34, 32 plus two more, 34. Even now, people keep asking, when is your next book out? I said, yes, but not about festivals, because I exhausted the major festivals. The smaller festivals, I don't know how well the kids will appreciate them. So every time I had come across something new, I would call up 2, 3 people and say, have you heard of this? Can I put this in the book? Is this authentic? So I think I'm done with festival for the time being. I must end my talk with saying that there are so many stories behind the stories. It's a never ending circle. This is a Rangoli from a friend. She makes it on Onam. And then there are the storytellers who bring the stories to us. And then there's also the biggest story of them all, the story of creation. That will be the biggest story for all of us. I end my talk about festivals by running you through all these little research that I came across, through all the people I spoke, and everybody was so appreciative and also so what do I say? They gave off so much of time. I remember when I digressed from this. I was doing the Parsi Fest New Year. I called up one lady at least 4 times to verify each and every fact. I think by my fourth call, she must have really got tired of me. But I wanted, as I said, we didn't want to hurt any community. So we had to get each and every fact right. And that also from the elders of the family. Because the youngsters have, shortcut through the festivals. The elders know the perfect ritual, how each is celebrated, what is the authenticity of that particular celebration, how to give you the correct thing. The youngsters were just giving me shortcuts like, oh, we do this, we do this. So I used to speak to the grandmothers and the older people who must have celebrated it from years without making any shortcuts. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Rachna ji. I think Just as we are a civilization of stories, we're also a civilization of festivals, and each festival has so many experiences transformed into an occasion to celebrate, and all those experiences are there even as a collection of stories, for all of us. So, audiences, any questions? Shweta ji has a question.
Question.
Yeah, Rachna, how did this transform you as a writer working on the stories of India, the
I'll
festival
tell you the
stories of India?
okay. I'll tell you the truth. What happened? I don't think I should talk about others. I'll tell you about myself. Until I started researching for this book, I also had no clue about the smaller festivals. For me, Vishu was something the Malayalis celebrated, or the Onam was something they celebrated. I did not know. When I came across the entire tradition of Vishu Kani, I realized that it's something so beautiful. The entire concept of seeking the divinity. I think every festival, every culture taught me, like Jainism, the entire thing of not hurting people. I was born in Raipur, so I had seen a lot of Jain munis there they wear the klotna because they don't want to breathe any insect or harm any insect, and they had a broom that they would sweep while walking so that they don't step on any insect. All that I have mentioned in the book in a very child friendly way. So I think festivals made me see our culture. And after doing this, I have gone and written two more such books. They are awaiting publication. I realized that it's time I tap that aspect of a culture and presented it to the kids in a very friendly fiction, non-fiction format.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you so much, Rachna ji, and we'll look forward to many more books from your side.